The Bell UH-1 Iroquois is a utility military helicopter powered by a single turboshaft engine with two-bladed main and tail rotors. The first member of the prolific Huey family, it was developed by Bell Helicopter to meet a 1952 U.S. Army requirement for a medical evacuation and utility helicopter, and first flew in 1956. The UH-1 was the first turbine-powered helicopter produced for the United States military, and more than 16,000 have been built since 1960. The Iroquois was originally designated HU-1, hence the Huey nickname, which has remained in common use, despite the official redesignation to UH-1 in 1962. The UH-1 first saw service in combat operations during the Vietnam War, with around 7,000 helicopters deployed. The Bell 204 and 205 are Iroquois versions developed for the civil market. In 1952, the U.S. Army identified a requirement for a new helicopter to serve as medical evacuation, instrument trainer, and general utility aircraft. The Army determined that current helicopters were too large, underpowered, or too complex to maintain easily. In November 1953, revised military requirements were submitted to the Department of the Army. 20 companies submitted designs in their bid for the contract, including Bell Helicopter with the Model 204 and common aircraft with a turbine-powered version of the H-43. On the 23rd of February 1955, the Army announced its decision, selecting Bell to build 3 copies of the Model 204 for evaluation with the designation XH-40. Powered by a prototype Lycoming YT-53L1 engine producing 700 shp. The XH-40 first flew on the 20th of October 1956 at Fort Worth, Texas, with Bell's chief test pilot, Floyd Carlson, at the controls. 2 more prototypes were built in 1957, and the Army had previously ordered 6 YH-40 service test aircraft, even before the first prototype had flown. In March 1960, the Army awarded Bell a production contract for 100 aircraft, which was designated HU-1A, and officially named Iroquois after the Native American nations. The helicopter quickly developed a nickname derived from its HU-1 designation, which came to be pronounced as Huey. The reference became so popular that Bell began casting the name on the helicopter's anti-torque pedals. The official U.S. Army name was almost never used in practice. After September 1962, the designation for all models was changed to UH-1 under a unified Department of Defense designation system, but the nickname remained. While glowing in praise for the helicopter's advances over piston-engined helicopters, the Army reports from the service tests of the YH-40 found it to be underpowered with a production T-53L1A power plant producing a maximum continuous 770 shaft horsepower. The Army indicated the need for improved follow-on models even as the first UH-1s were being delivered. In response, Bell proposed the UH-1B, equipped with the Lycoming T-53L5 engine producing 960 shp and a longer cabin that could accommodate either 7 passengers or 4 stretchers and a medical attendant. Army testing of the UH-1B started in November 1960. With the first production aircraft delivered in March 1961, Bell commenced development of the UH-1C in 1960 in order to correct aerodynamic deficiencies of the armed UH-1B. Bell fitted the UH-1C with a 1,100 shp T-53L11 engine to provide the power needed to lift all weapons systems in use or under development. The Army eventually refitted all UH-1B aircraft with the same engine. A new rotor system was developed for the UH-1C to allow higher airspeeds and reduce the incidence of retreating blade stall during diving engagements. The improved rotor resulted in better maneuverability and a slight speed increase. The increased power and a larger diameter rotor required Bell's engineers to design a new tail boom for the UH-1C. The longer tail boom incorporated a wider chord vertical fin on the tail rotor pylon and larger synchronized elevators. Bell also introduced a dual hydraulic control system for redundancy as well as an improved inlet filter system for the dusty conditions found in Southeast Asia. The UH-1C fuel capacity was increased to 242 US gallons. UH-1C production started in June 1966 with a total of 766 aircraft produced, including 5 for the Royal Australian Navy and 5 for Norway. While earlier, short-body Hueys were a success, the Army wanted a version that could carry more troops. Bell's solution was to stretch the HU-1B fuselage by 41 in and use the extra space to fit 4 seats next to the transmission. Facing out, seating capacity increased to 15, including crew. The enlarged cabin could also accommodate 6 stretchers and a medic, 2 more than the earlier models. In place of the earlier model's sliding side doors with a single window, larger doors were fitted which had 2 windows, plus a small hinged panel with an optional window, providing enhanced access to the cabin. The doors and hinged panels were quickly removable, allowing the Huey to be flown in a doors-off